Hey everybody. Today I thought I would do a little story on how I got into comics and kind of where it all started. Uh, it was the summer of 1974. I hadn't started school yet, so you can do some quick math, figure out how old I am, I guess. Uh, and my cousin was visiting us, and where I lived, my grandmother lived next door. She had a covered porch, and it was kind of a rainy day, I remember, and my brother and I and my cousin were there, and my cousin brought a pile of these things that I'd never seen before. I didn't know if they looked like car traders magazines. I didn't know what they were. I wasn't familiar with what comic books were yet, and he pulled out a book that he was in the middle of reading. It was coverless, um, and it looked like it probably, looking back on it, was missing a lot of pages. Um, I later discovered through the wonderful internet, it was this book right here, a wonderful 20-cent Bernie Wrightson comic. And for the longest time, I didn't know what it was, but I have it marked here, the first comic image I ever remember seeing. Um, and it's right there. This old Swamp Thing scaling the wall, going after the guy. I think he's kind of a mobster, if I remember right. He ends up tossing him out a window, I think. But him scaling the wall right there, that particular image is burned into my head. And I remembered, I was familiar with Batman because of the TV show. There was also some kind of weird chimp TV show on at the time. I think it was because of the popularity of Planet of the Apes. But if I remember right, one of them was like a professor or something. It was a strange show. But that show had just ended, and we were under the porch, eating Hostess fruit pies or whatever garbage we used to eat back then. And we started pouring through these comics. I remember feeling I was instantly drawn in to that world, and I started looking at everything. He had old Batmans and Justice Leagues and Superman and stuff like that, and for the longest time I thought this comic was a Batman comic. So when I was trying to be a detective and figure out what this comic was, I didn't even think about Swamp Thing at the time. It's funny too that one of my favorite artists growing up, and even now, is Bernie Wrightson, and unbeknownst to me, that was the first comic art I actually ever saw. So later that day, my grandmother went up into her attic, and she dug out a bunch of comic books that were from my dad and my uncles, and she was all excited, came down and handed them to us, and I grabbed them and I started going through them, and it was all Donald Duck and Richie Rich and just stuff like that uh, at the advancing age of 5, I thought I was too cool for. So we spent the rest of the afternoon going through my cousin's books, and I think she noticed how much we liked those comics at the time. My brother's a couple years older than me, so he had just finished school. It was report card time, and used to get rewarded for that kind of thing. So the next day, she got back from the store with my mom, and she gave my brother a stack of books, and I could tell you exactly what they were. It was a Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, I think 139, with that weird mindworm guy on it. Frankenstein, one of those Frankenstein's monster books. There was another one. He got 4 altogether. I don't remember what they were. And since I hadn't gone to school yet, she still wanted me to have a comic. And the first comic I ever owned was this one right here. Ka-zar, I say it. I know a lot of people say ka-zar, but I say ka-zar. It's just how I grew up. And this is a photocopy of it. So I have that because I want you to see how well loved this book was. I grade these below fair even. I call this a landfill book because it looks like you pulled it out of a landfill. So this year, a friend of mine's really good at pressing, cleaning, and all that kind of stuff, reconditioning comics. So he was able to kind of breathe some life back into this book for me. And I have it right here. So there it is now. And you can see, you kind of do a corner to corner. He was able to get the spine roll out, and he painstakingly pulled every little edge back and then pressed it into place. And overall I think it turned out pretty good. So of course I slapped it in Mylar and a full back, and You know, that's where it'll stay until someone has it after I'm gone, I suppose. But in the meantime, I did have to go out and grab a nice minty copy, which I'll also keep in Mylar. It's a beautiful, beautiful Gil Kane for you, Dr. Von Chilla. You'll appreciate that. And of course, the red background and yellow lettering always stands out. I love that color scheme together. But I can remember reading this book over and over and over again. And then from there, you know, it blossomed from there. I actually learned to kind of sight read before I even went to kindergarten, mostly because of comics. I probably read 300 comics that summer. And I would learn because someone would read them to me, and I would memorize the words as they were saying them. So, kind of got me into reading a lot. I still read a lot today, usually 2-3 books at a time, and mostly read comics digitally now. Though I know some of the old timers don't like that, but they're so much brighter on the iPad. It's so much more convenient. I don't have to go into my tomes, my long boxes to get them. But yeah. That's how it all started. It was a combination of an old 20-cent Bernie Wrightson Swamp Thing. They got me hooked. And then I guess hook, line, and sinker would be ka-zar #5 with Gil Kane. And I know I got into Captain America after that shortly, and the whole Kirby run, and the original Secret Empire, I guess. And, you know, it's been comics ever since. So that's my little story for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see y'all later. Keep reading.